Hello guys, good morning. We're in the car again, and I didn't have time to film anything last night, but I had something weighing on my mind this morning, and as I was getting ready, I was kind of scrolling through social media. Obviously because the holidays are right around the corner, you see so many videos of people saying, oh, well, I'm going to be spending the holidays here, or we're having this part of my family over, or this part of my husband's family, or my wife, or my cousin, or whomever it is. And some people obviously don't have families, so they focus more on the friends that they're having over. Oh, we're gonna have all of us that were roommates in college, we're gonna do a Christmas, or we're gonna do a holiday dinner, or whatever holiday you celebrate, no matter what it is. This time of year brings a lot of social gatherings, and I think because last year was so, we weren't in a good place this time last year at all, and we're definitely not out of the woods, but we're getting there. So I think a lot of people are making it a point to make sure that they're seeing loved ones, and I think that's awesome. But like I usually do, I also think of the exact opposite of what we're seeing on social media, and the exact opposite in my mind is the people who don't have friends or family, because I know a lot of times the answer to not having family or not wanting to be around family is just have your friends over. Just have your friends over. That's where Friendsgiving came from. Just have a bunch of your coworkers or your friends over, or whatever it is. But there are a lot of people who don't have that either. And that's the people that it really weighs heavy on my mind this time of year. And I wanted to offer, for what it's worth, I wanted to offer some ideas of how I would spend my holidays if I was single and didn't have, my dad around, or family, or anything. If it was just me, how would I spend the holidays? So that's what this video is going to be about. I want to give you guys a couple of ideas of stuff that I think is, a nice way to spend the days. Because I also know that it's not just one day. A lot of people want to use up their PTO this time of year. A lot of people, some companies are closed extended days. If you're in the education system, then, you might have a week or two off. So that's a lot of time to be by yourself. So before I talk about those things, I also want to reiterate something that I said around Thanksgiving. I've said this many times, but I feel like any holiday is a good opportunity to say that if you have family, big or small, if being around your family or certain family members is triggering, depressing, makes you have anxiety, maybe there's stuff that happened in your family that this part of the family doesn't know about, and you don't want to be around these people in your family. Like, there are so many different circumstances that can surround not wanting to be around family. And sometimes it's just as simple as they're toxic, and that's totally normal. It is completely normal to not want to subject yourself to positions that make you feel uncomfortable or make your mental health take a nosedive. So just because social media and maybe the societal norm is go to your family's house, you have dinner and festive beverages, and everyone sits around the fire and watches a movie. Just because that's what's portrayed as normal, don't feel like you have to participate in that if it's going to upset any aspect of your well-being, whether that's physical, emotional, or mental health. It's okay to sit one out. It might be just 1 year, or maybe this is an ongoing issue. I don't think that it's in anyone's best interest to appease certain family members by attending these gatherings, that when you leave and you go home, you're not in a good place mentally because you forced yourself to attend a gathering that you know was not good for you. So I hope all of that makes sense. On to what else I wanted to talk about in this video, and that is how to spend time by yourself. Spending time alone is hard. I didn't teach myself to spend time alone in a productive manner until I was in between relationships. So when I broke up with my ex, I started doing a lot of stuff on my own. I started traveling by myself. I started going to get meals by myself. And, I could have done it with a few friends that, are kind of in my very small circle. But I looked at that opportunity as a way to be okay being alone. And I would do tons of stuff by myself. In fact, to this day, I still like shopping by myself more than I do with anyone else. I would much rather be on my time. I can look at what I want to look at. I don't have to worry about being in a rush or taking too long looking in the makeup aisle or wherever it is that I'm going. So to this day, I still like shopping alone. I'm sure some of you guys are like that too. But because I had that gap in between relationships, I really did start to appreciate and enjoy being alone. And the dog that I had at the time was our beagle, and I was living with my dad at that time, and I would take her for a walk, or just be okay with being alone. And it really taught me that. I think that if it wasn't for that period of time, I might have always still wanted to be around someone and not be that person eating alone at a restaurant or whatever. So either way, I was sitting there thinking about this, and there's a few things that I would spend my time doing if I was alone, especially around the holidays. Obviously, first of all, let's talk about if you're alone and you have a dog, because obviously there's a million things that you can do with your dog. But if you're alone and you have a dog, one way that I love to spend time is to take Axel somewhere. Take your dog somewhere new. Take him somewhere, or her somewhere where they haven't been before. New things to smell, new scenery to take in. And if you're like me and you're obsessive, take a million pictures, take, video of it, just so that you have the memories to keep forever. And just enjoy the day with your dog. Obviously you can also fill the day with little pit stops along the way. That's the thing, when you're not on a restricted time schedule, you can make a whole day of it. You could wake up early, go by Starbucks, get your coffee and get your puppuccino, drive out to wherever the destination is, and you can look at I would just rely on the internet, obviously, if you're unfamiliar with where to take your dog. Look at parks, look at trails, look at, even if it's somewhere like Middleburg. When I went to Middleburg that day, that's a really good place to take a day trip because they have shopping, and a lot of the shops are dog friendly. So you can take your pup shopping, you can get a bunch of really cute pictures, or if you want to do something more outdoorsy, you can stick to a park with, trails or whatever it is. But you can definitely make a whole day out of it, Morning, get the puppuccino. In the afternoon on the way back, you can grab lunch, and, obviously most restaurants have something that's dog friendly. So that could be a really good way. If you don't have a dog, and or if you just don't want to do that, I love doing spa days at home. And if you are someone who doesn't hoard skincare like I do, that is one of my downfalls. I hate it. I have a ton of stuff just like at all times. I try to work my way through it, and then obviously donate a lot of it as well. But when when I realize that I'm not gonna be able to open something in time, I will throw it in the donate, and that's a really awesome way to allow someone else to enjoy something that you didn't get to. But doing an at-home spa day is such a good idea. I love this so much because you can do all of the little skin treatments that you don't give yourself time to do on, say, a normal work day or a normal work week. You can do a hair mask, you can give yourself a manicure, you can give yourself a pedicure, you can do all of the body treatments. Like, my shower is filled with body scrubs and all crazy kinds of loofahs and body oil. And then obviously with the skincare stuff, the skincare, like the facial part of it, it's hard because you don't want to overwork your skin. But typically if I'm at home and I have the time, what I do is I'll do an exfoliating peel. So something like the Ordinary peel, I'll put it right here for a reference. It's actually pretty aggressive, so I would say unless you have experience with it. If you don't, I'll give you guys another option. It's from Pacifica, and you can buy it at Target. I really like it, and I find it to be a much more mild version. So you can definitely do an exfoliating peel, and then what I typically do is after I'm done with that peel, go in with a really good moisturizing sheet mask. I love biocellulose masks because they make 100% contact with the skin, and there's none of those weird folds, and then you don't feel like you have a wet napkin on your face. I love biocellulose. So go in with a really good biocellulose mask, and then you can follow up with your skincare. Do a really rich moisturizer because you did that exfoliating peel, and maybe pop on some eye masks and a lip mask. And that takes up a ton of time, and it's self-care, and it makes you feel really good. Obviously, if I was solo, I would spend the whole day just watching holiday movies and hanging out. You don't have to necessarily be doing something, but I think that when you're alone at home, it's a good opportunity to do a little bit of self-care. Now, self-care doesn't always have to be a spa day. That's kind of my version of self-care. But if you're someone who isn't into the spa day idea, you could also try a new recipe that you've never tried to make before. Make sure that you go to the store a day or two ahead of time, get all your ingredients, and then that way you have everything at home to make the recipe, and You don't have to worry about running out to the store or anything like that, and you can make it a day of cooking. I know for a lot of people, cooking is therapeutic for them. It's a way to unwind. Me, I get really stressed out and I feel like it's not relaxing for me, but that's all personal preference. There's no rules to say, well, this is self-care and this isn't. It depends on what you like. And maybe going for a hike with your dog is the best version of self-care for you. And you could obviously also combine a couple of these. You could take your dog for an adventure in the morning, and then in the evening you could do a little at-home spa day. You could even do the spa day for your dog. If you're someone who doesn't really care about all the skincare and stuff, do the spa day for your dog. I realize that giving your dog a bath at home isn't always the easiest task, but it can definitely be a good way to spend time that you might not otherwise have during a normal, week. Because life does get in the way and life does get hectic, and during a normal Monday through Friday, if I was going into the office every single day, I couldn't imagine giving Axel a bath at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night after we have dinner. Like, that's a lot for that day. Now, obviously, if he had to have one, that's something else, but typically that kind of stuff is done on the weekend. And so if you're home alone and you have the time to spare, then do the doggy spa day. You can go and get them a special treat. I know that Axel he's so freaking spoiled, he has to have a bully stick or he will not let me dry him, because he just gets bored and annoyed at being dried. He's good, don't get me wrong, but he'll lay there and be really still if he has a bully stick. If you're also, something else that I meant to say is, if you're someone who likes to cook, but you get overwhelmed by just a normal recipe, like seeing it on paper, something else that you could treat yourself to is doing an online cooking class. I know that a lot of them, hell, you can find free cooking tutorials all over YouTube. There's a ton of different ways to make it a little bit more interactive. I'm a visual learner, so for me, I like to see the person doing the steps so that I repeat them. Seeing it on paper, I can work through that, but I'm very visual when it comes to trying something new. So that's also an idea. Just find something on YouTube that you are interested in making and do it that way too. But there's a lot of different ideas out there. In the comments of this video, I want you guys to leave your ideas if it's something that I didn't mention or I forgot, or if you want to elaborate on something that I mentioned, definitely leave it down below. I always like the comments to be productive, and like I've said before, half the time you guys think of stuff that I would have never thought of. So definitely leave all of your ideas down below, and let me know what you think about the whole family thing, because that's really difficult, and I realize that it sucks and it can be really hard to say, I'm not gonna subject myself to stress this holiday, so I'm not going to attend Uncle Joe's 20th annual holiday spectacular. That's okay. And like I said, maybe it's just a little bit of a rough spot, and maybe you can see Uncle Joe and your other family members on 4th of July instead. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to say, I'm prioritizing my mental health instead of attending this family gathering that I know is going to upset me in one way or another. But I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. I figured that this was a good video to throw in here. You know, we're just a couple weeks away from the end of the year. It's so crazy. I can't believe it. But, you know, just to balance things out, I know a lot of times we talk about more, maybe more serious stuff depending on the topic, but figured that this would be a good one to throw out there. So either way, I wanted to share it with you guys. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.